Hi everybody, my name is Joe Hoffert and I teach computer science here at Indiana Wesleyan University. Rusty has asked me to talk with you about how computer science and the Christian faith relate to each other. Unfortunately, I can't be there in person because I'm teaching a computer networks class at the same time, but I thought I could record some of my thoughts and pass those along to you, and hopefully that'll be helpful. So let me talk a little bit about what I'm calling computer science doxology, and I'll define that, my view of how computer science and the Christian faith relate. Let me present a counterexample to start off with. So when I talk about computer science doxology, I'm not talking about, for example, a section of code that has embedded comments trying to get people to turn their lives over to Jesus. That's not the kind of thing I'm talking about. I'm more talking about inherently within the discipline itself. What is there that's praiseworthy? So let me share how I even started thinking about some of these kinds of things. So I started thinking about some of the passages in the Bible, and certainly the Psalms are replete with how God's creation gives God glory. Also thinking about God is always present and always around, and is actually more present than we are, more real than we are. It's sometimes we humans who don't show up, but God is there and is present in His creation, not in a pantheistic way, but in a sovereign way and an omnipresent way. And also thinking about what is good and evil. C.S. Lewis has been helpful for me in this sense, that goodness really stands on its own, but badness, evil, is a parasite. It's really just spoiled goodness, and it can't stand on its own. So the idea that good and evil are opposing equal forces is not good Christian theology. And thinking about, again, God's presence and His role in all of creation, and that He is there in existence with everything that we see, everything we're involved with. Also challenged by comments like the ones from Dallas Willard, thinking about what do Christian schools have to say, Christian academics, that non-Christian schools don't have. What is that essential knowledge? So these kinds of thoughts have helped me to start thinking about, I'm a computer science guy. How does any of this stuff relate? So I started thinking about some other academic disciplines as well. So I'm a big fan of Bach and his music, not only his music, his approach to music. He would sign SDG to his manuscripts for music, Soli Deo Gloria, to the glory of God alone. And he would say things like, the final end of all music, even rap music or whatever kind of music, is really for the glory of God and the refreshment of the soul. Not just his music, not just Christian music, all music. More recently, I came across an interview with a person named Jimmy Lin. He was taking some theology courses, but he was doing some other stuff too, taking medical biology courses. And he helped me to think about what computer science doxology might be. He said theology is for doxology. Well, that's not just true for theology. It's true for everything. So biology is for giving God praise. Chemistry, right? History. And so naturally I started thinking about, well, okay, computer science. Computer science is for doxology. So what does that mean? And how can we start to think about that? At least a couple different approaches we can take in any kind of discipline thinking about doxology. We can look at God's qualities and see if they're present in a particular discipline or subdiscipline, or conversely, we can look at the discipline and see if God's qualities reside there. So I chose the latter perspective for what I'm doing. So the areas of focus for this talk are going to be three. I'm focusing on artificial intelligence and website development and software engineering. There are other areas that I've thought about, and an ongoing challenge for me is to think about how does every subdiscipline give glory to God? What is there that's praiseworthy in that particular subdiscipline, in that content? And if there's really nothing, then what is it a perversion of? Again, thinking about there's not really anything that's neutral. And if it's not praiseworthy, we shouldn't be involved with it. I'm going to focus on these three here, and I'll go into a little more detail with these. So artificial intelligence doxology. Artificial intelligence really illuminates how complex thinking is for humans. There are lots of different approaches from different perspectives. There are biological approaches and high-level rule-based approaches for just trying to get a grasp on how humans think. But it's really quite complex, and we're capturing more of how humans think, but we haven't captured everything, and I'm not even sure it's possible to capture everything. That'd be another interesting question to think about. Artificial intelligence also highlights how finite humans are. We actually need these tools. We need these artificial intelligence tools to help us gain knowledge, manage knowledge better, because we have incomplete and faulty knowledge. We are made in the image of God, but we are also fallen. So that has impacts on everything and who we are. And it really only emphasizes, artificial intelligence really only emphasizes computational thinking. That's just one aspect of human thinking. And sometimes, I would argue, that gets perverted as to be claimed as the essence of humanity. That really we are our minds and our biological minds. But that's bad Christian theology, and that's where I'm coming from with all this. And again, AI shows that humans are complex, and that's because we're reflective of God who created us. We're made in His image, who is complex and vast. So website development also is an area that I see giving glory to God. Websites are really developed for humans by humans, either directly or indirectly. Sometimes websites can be developed for machines directly, but indirectly it's for human use. And it also emphasizes communication, highlights the relationships that we have as humans. Websites really are a form of communication and relationship building, or perversely relationship destroying. And that relationship that we have with humans, it's reflective of us being made in the image of God, who is in and of Himself in relationship, right? The three in one: unity in diversity in community. That's a really nice, pithy definition of what the Trinity is, I think. And so we are in relationship. That's a key factor for us as humans, because God is in Himself relationship. And this relationship that we have, because of websites and the communication we have, even though it's indirect in some sense, it can be perverted, and people can be manipulated. Buy now, save now, wow. come do this, lure people in. But that, I would argue, that's a perversion of the relationship that we have as humans, and that we should honor that and respect that. And that's how website development can give God glory, and should give God glory. Another area of computer science is software engineering. And so thinking about how software engineering, the discipline of actually building software, because it can be very complex and difficult to get right and to do it well, we have this subdiscipline of software engineering. And it has struck me that there are people involved with software engineering that use words like beautiful and beauty, also talk about joy and order. Now, this is software engineering, and these people, to my knowledge, aren't Christians, but they're using these terms, beautiful and beauty, order out of chaos, and the joy, anything that is beautiful, any kind of beauty, any joy or order. From a Christian perspective, that comes from God and is reflective of God and gives God praise. Whether or not the people talking about beauty or joy or order acknowledge that or not, that is giving God praise, because He's the source of beauty and joy and order. So I just gave those few examples of subdisciplines, and I'm challenged to think about some other areas, and I have some more ideas. It's an ongoing project for me. There are a couple of TED Talks here that I don't have time to go into, but Rusty, if you do, I would encourage you to click on these links and listen to these TED Talks with your students, and talk about moral and ethical implications from work that is being done within the computer science discipline. So there's a TED Talk on hybrid thinking, which relates to artificial intelligence. But it does bring up questions like, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be fully human and more human? How can we help people, ourselves and others, to be more fully human? Are there any kind of ethical concerns with what's being raised by this person who is not a Christian, Ray Kurzweil? So I admonish you to look at that TED Talk. And then the second one deals with some malware, software that causes harm in some sense to another computer system. And so this is relevant to the area of software engineering. And this TED Talk, I think, brings up the issue of, are there conflicts with things that are developed in software engineering and the Christian faith? Is there even a just cyber war theory, as we think about St. Augustine's just war theory? And there are moral and ethical perspectives that impact all of computer science. And I suggest that it does for every discipline as well. So to wrap up, God's qualities are shown. Some people acknowledge that, and some people don't. But from a Christian perspective, we see God's qualities, and computer science is reflective of God's qualities. We have software design, which reflects beauty and elegance, artificial intelligence, which reflects humans being made in the image of God and complexity of humans, but also our finiteness, that we even need these kinds of tools, and website development that highlights relationships and communication and also service. And I would say that these moral and ethical interconnections should be thought about deeply and shouldn't be ignored. And I would challenge you to think about, whatever your discipline is, how does that inherently give glory to God? Thanks for your time, Rusty. I hope it was helpful.